there that when you dial, only the top cog should turn, not the bottom one. Now, if that gets gummed up, what happens is the whole lot turns, and can you see there now the whole lot is turning? I don't know if you can see that. It's all turning, and then it's turning this governor here as well. Now that shouldn't happen. When you dial, only the top one should turn. It should be easy enough just for the top one to turn, that it doesn't turn the bottom one, and the bottom one only turns with it when it goes back. So that clutch is basically a clutch that operates one way. So one way it slips and the other way it grabs and turns both those cogs on that spindle. That jams up, so that spindle can jam up. So what you would do if that jams up is you would take it out by taking out this pin here with a little tiny spanner. Take that out, you can then get this plastic piece out, and then you can get this unit out, and it's basically just a spindle with those two cogs on, the big white one and the little metal one. And it should, the two cogs, grab one in one hand and one in the other, should turn one way and not the other, sort of thing. They should work independently one way and not the other. They should lock up together when you try and turn the other way. If they're locked together both ways, they need to either replace that or unjam it. That's one thing that happens to them. The way you would unjam it is you can try just a bit of oil in it, but use it sparingly. A bit of light oil, sewing machine oil, or something like 3-in-1 oil will do. Not WD-40. Okay, not WD-40. The reason you don't use WD-40 is it dries up. And what happens with WD-40, it's designed to penetrate into things, and then a lot of the liquid evaporates off it, and there's hardly any oil in it when the other liquid is evaporated. So it's designed to penetrate into things and then disappear, to like unlock seized up nuts and things, but then it doesn't stick around. And the problem with that is, unless you clean it all off very, very carefully, it dries up. So it starts off wet, it attracts all the dirt to it, and then the dirt dries on like concrete and makes the thing worse. So don't use WD-40. You want to use an oil that stays oily on there. Okay, so that's one thing that you have to do. The other thing you have to do with a dial is, if it's running slow, first thing to try, if your dial is running slow, is oil it. So obviously oil all the moving parts. A little drop of oil. I normally get a bit of oil on a bit of wire or the end of a matchstick or something. In fact, I'll get a bit and I'll do it for you. Right, here I am again. This is what I use here in the UK from Wilko's. Wilko's is a well-known sort of high street shop in the UK. It sells all homeware and hardware stuff. Wilko's own brand oil comes in that bottle like that. It's basically Wilko's version of 3-in-1 oil, but it's about a third the price of 3-in-1 oil. And what I normally do is, you're going to get far too much oil if you just put that straight onto something. So what I generally do is I get a bit of something, that'll do, a little bit of ceramic there, just a drop of oil on there, and this is how tiny the amount needs to be that you're using. Yeah, something like a little bit of stiff wire like that, or a matchstick. Just get a bob of oil on the end of it and just oil the point. So I'm oiling that top pivot point there, just a couple of drops of oil on all the pivot points basically. So there's a pivot point in the end of this governor here, one down there in that end somewhere, and if you want then you can put a little bit of oil just on the teeth of things that go together. Don't need to put oil all the way around this large cog, because when it turns it'll get distributed, but just a tiny amount like that, and that basically should be enough. Now to try it, you can just put your finger wheel back on, and I've done that the wrong way up, you see. There's a little peg that goes through there, and you see that's the wrong way up. So turn it through 180 degrees, and that's obviously right now with the finger stop. Put the screw back in temporarily, and it should go roughly at that speed. Now the speed it should go, you should be able to say 1001 basically. It should be like 10 pulses a second, but hold that there, dial a 0 basically in the UK, and when you let your finger go, say to yourself 1001, and as you finish saying it, that your dial should be back at normal. 1001, 1001. That may be a little tiny bit quick, but I do find it's better for them to be a tad quick than a tad slow. If this was still very slow, what you would need to do would be to alter the governor. Once you've oiled it and the oil's worked itself in, if it's still slow, and often working it a few times, you know, with the oil will speed it up. But if it's still slow, then what you have to do is look at the little governor arms here on this governor, and there's two arms that look kind of coppery. You know, they look sort of golden coppery colour, and they've got weights on the end, and the weights run in the end of this cap here. And if the dial is too slow, what you have to do is squeeze these two arms in a bit, so the weights, when it rotates, so they don't spin out as far with centrifugal force. So if it's too slow, bend the governor arms in a bit. Tiny fraction of an amount, it'll make a big difference. Similarly, if it's too fast, open them out a bit. You can do it with a flat bladed screwdriver. The GPO used to have a special tool for grabbing them and doing it, but you can do it very carefully with a flat bladed screwdriver or some very small needle nosed pliers. But that is basically how you do it, and that is pretty much all you need to do to service a dial. you know, unless you've got some major mechanical failure in it, like the spring in it has gone or something like that, and you've got to start taking the thing apart. To service it, that's all you need to do. A bit of oil on the pivot points, a little bit of oil on the face of the cogs that's going to run, and then just check your timing is right for your dial return, adjust the governor if necessary, and that really is all you need to do. If your dial, your finger plate is dirty, wash that in warm soapy water. Don't do anything else, because these are painted on the back. What they do, there's nothing on the front here, the bit that you touch with your fingers when you're dialing. This is a clear piece of plastic. They print the numbers in reverse on the back in black. Then they put on the paint that is the background. Now, because of the trim foam, because it has to light up, it's got a very thin layer of paint that you can sort of see through, like a frosting effect. The bit where they don't want you to see through it, it's got fully opaque paint, but it is all paint on the back. You could easily scratch all that off and just end up with a blank dial with no numbers or anything on it, so very easily damaged on the back. So if you need to clean them, just soap and water. So we'll now put that back on, locate it back over those two pegs. Like that. Why has it come back on top, chap? Right, over those two pegs. We can now put the little clip back on. We can put this back in. Put the screw back in. Now, if I do this, I'll tell you something about these screws. There's two sorts of these screws that get used. This one, I don't know if you can see, this is not a countersunk screw, this one. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a flat bottom on it, this screw, and a domed head. And this finger wheel has got a slightly recessed bit where the screw fits, but it is flat. Some finger wheels have got a sort of conical countersink shape in the middle of the finger wheel, and you've got to get the right screw with the right finger wheel. If your finger wheel has got that conical thing for a countersunk screw, if you put a flat backed screw in, there's a chance you'll push that down into the conical shape and split the finger wheel. Similarly, if you've got one of these finger wheels that is flat in the middle, if you've got a countersunk screw and you put that in, again, that countersunk screw will pull down and split the thing open. So if the base that you fit into on the finger wheel is flat, you need a screw that is flat on the underside of the head. If it's countersunk, a conical shape that you're fitting to on the finger wheel, you need a screw that is a proper countersunk screw. There are two types, so beware of that. You do see a lot of finger wheels that have been split in the middle, and that's the reason for it. It's the wrong screw with the wrong finger wheel. But this is the correct screw and the correct finger wheel. I'm not quite sure what's happening now, because it says the stream is not live anymore. and I know for a fact it is. That's weird, because as far as I can see we are still live, and YouTube is telling me it's not live. So what is going on there? Let's just have a little look. Yeah, we are still live. I thought we were. Are we still live there? Is stuff still happening? Yeah, it is. Yeah. YouTube went a bit strange. Yeah, we are still live, Dominic. You're right. It all went strange here for a minute, and I stream this using a thing called OBS. I don't stream through YouTube at all. I stream to YouTube, but I don't use YouTube software. But I have YouTube running then on my phone, so I can look at the comments as well. And it was on my phone where it went strange. Right, where were we? Yeah, I was just putting this screw back in to hold the finger wheel back on. 1001. There you go. Perfect. And we'll put the case back on. So there's a couple of little tabs under the front edge of the case there. Says he, as he's just gone and dropped the little screwy thing on the floor. Bear with me a sec. I dropped the plastic screw. And these are a thing unique to trim phones. I wouldn't want to have to try and get hold of one of these. So the two little tabs, two little hook lug things under there, we've obviously got to fit that under there like that. This should go down. Give the dial a bit of a helping hand. Put the screw back in, and there you have one serviced dial. In theory, that's it. The dial is serviced, and we are all good to go. So that is how you service a GPO dial, and that trim phone is now good. Ready for it? 1001. There you go. The observant of you will see it's not got a line code fitted. That's for another day. Right, so that's that. That's how to service a dial. A UK dial. Now, dials in other parts of the world are often different. You know that. So there are all kinds of other types of dials, but basically that's all you do for whatever dial you've got. You should always be looking somewhere along the line at just putting a little drop of oil in them, and you'll not go far wrong. Whatever you do, don't squirt them with WD-40. That's the thing, because like I say, it dries up, it attracts all the dirt, it dries up, and then you end up with a cruddy mess inside your dial. Arthur G is here. Hello, Arthur. He says sorry he's a bit late this evening. Yeah, we're almost there, Arthur. It's almost a wrap for today. I've just got about a minute left, so I've got to be really quick in the next minute, otherwise it won't upload to library. And say to you, of course, as always, if you want to get in touch with us, this is the way to do it. Go to the contact us form on here, andyshed.corepress.net. if you want to get in touch. We also have the Patreon thing as well, patreon.com/andyshed, if you want to drop us a little donation on there. The shop will be starting up next week, hopefully, where you'll be able to buy all kinds of telephone bits and other interesting antiques and collectible things as well. So I'll have more announcements about the shop and things next week. Arthur G says, anybody any idea how to solve a squeaky dial? An all plastic dial, can't get the squeak gone. You need to re-watch what we've just done, Arthur, if you've not if you didn't just see it. Yeah, watch this back, because I've just lubricated the dial and the governor cups and things on a trim foam. Right, that is about as far as we go today. I have to try and get it in under the hour mark. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and we will, all being well, see you next week. Bye for now.